Welcome in. It's Brad with College SportsCast. After a break, we are back. We got a lot to talk about tonight.
Can I please have your attention?
There's all a commotion around here.
What are you talking about?
Let them yap at you.
It's actually very exciting.
Hey guys, welcome in. Going to try to do this tonight. I haven't had my computer on for a while, so things are acting a little haywire. Got seat. So bear with me while we try to run this show tonight.
Yeah.
What's up, Hannons?
What's up, man? What's going on?
All right. Did you hear me, Hammonds?
Yeah, a little bit. You're freezing up.
I'm telling you, I got stuff going on with this computer that's crazy.
Yeah.
I'm hoping it'll stop here in a minute. All right, man. If you're on Facebook with us, you can help support us by sending stars or subscribe for 99 cents a month.
Yeah.
It does give you your own subscribers page and your own chat. All right. I don't know if Hammonds can even hear me, but we are here to do an updated show. We haven't done a show for about a month. It's been 4 weeks exactly. I had some kids graduate high school, and I took some time off in May for that. And then at the end of May, 1st of June, John's dog got sick.
Yeah, and he passed
he was
away
dealing with his dog.
Just a lot of.
He was dealing with his dog, trying to help him. Didn't get that done.
Couldn't get
he
no better.
wound up having to pass. His dog passed away.
It's been a whirlwind of a week.
So anyway, yeah.
We're a lot of personal things have come at us. And this we'll probably do this show and probably another one next week, but beyond that, we probably won't do much until the SEC Media Days, which is in July. I know that there's a lot going on in the SEC football world. That's why we came on tonight, because we're going to discuss a little bit about Vince Marrow leaving and going to Louisville, right in the middle of the summer, right when football season starts. So there's there's a lot going on. There's a lot happening behind the scenes. It's been a wild week, Brad.
Yeah, we're going to get into some stuff here. I clicked something off, so I'm hoping that will help with the running of this show. I'm hoping that will help, because I've had a couple of pop-ups and stuff trying to update, but I hadn't had this computer on for a while, so bear with me here while I try to get this worked out for tonight, because we hadn't done a show for 4 weeks. So, all right, John, we're going to start with on Friday night, the judge, I think her name is Wilkins, approved the House settlement on Friday night. This past week, it is a huge landmark deal. It goes into effect July, and schools can now pay kids revenue share. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of other stuff. We're going to kind of dig into some of this stuff tonight, but what's your initial thoughts of the judge finally approving this thing? They put it off like 2 months.
Well, I mean, I think it's a good thing. I think you got where now schools can pay the players They get it kind of takes away the whole pay for play thing. It kind of adds a little bit of new dynamic to things, where we can have a little bit more relevancy and get out of this pay for play stuff and kind of get back to the regular football, so to speak. I just but this kind of leads into Kentucky
more so. Yeah,
it kind of leads into
more so regular football.
Yeah, because with Kentucky, I think it's going to hurt a lot of these like say you're a basketball school. I'm not even talking about Kentucky. I'm talking about just teams in general. You're a basketball school. You're not going to get as much money as you would for football. And that's the tough break of this whole thing.
Yeah, we're going to dig into that a little bit later as I go through some of these tabs.
That's what I wanted to dig in with it, because that's where I was kind of wanting to just kind of charge with it.
This is a landmark deal for college sports. It's the first time ever in like 106 years that the schools have actually been able to pay their athletes. And it is a huge landmark deal. Now, the biggest thing within this landmark deal is revenue sharing. Each year, there's going to be a cap. There's a max that can be spent. There's now a cap, just like a salary cap in the pros. Right now, for 2025-26, it is expected to be $20.5 million that the schools can revenue share with their athletes.
I think it was said that I think in year one they could share up to like $20.5 million. I think that's 22% of the revenue. Like media rights, ticket sales, sponsorships, stuff like that.
So also within this, NIL is no longer going to be pay for play. Anything over $600 has to be approved by a new clearinghouse. Now, I will dig into that a little bit more, but what this does is, so your collectibles, where people are just saying, we'll pay you $4 million to come here, well, no longer, it's now against the rules, just like it used to be. Anything over $600 has to be approved by this clearinghouse. And the real kicker of this, John, is this. And if you can see my notes down at the bottom down there, NIL must be backed by endorsements now. Over 70% of what we have seen over the last 2 or 3 years that was in collectibles would now be denied by this clearinghouse.
Well, in another part,
the NIL is actually going to have to be backed by an endorsement, meaning it don't have to be it don't have to be Gatorade or Nike. It could be the local, a local sporting shop, or it could be the local diner, or it could be the whatever, but it actually has to be backed by an endorsement.
I think too,
the NIL now.
And somebody had mentioned yesterday, like, how will this impact like other sports? Like, the settlement also has like roster limits. It's going to reduce the number of players on teams. I think it's going to make a major impact, Brad, on, the Olympic sports. Their scholarships cost as much as that of a football team or a football player, but they don't produce revenue. And I think that's going to hurt them more than it's going to hurt the college basketball and college football side of things. I think you're going to like swimmers, Olympic athletes, people that run track. I think you're going to see a lot of issues in that regard more than you would in college football and college basketball, because I know that where I live, they've already cut the swim team out at one of the colleges. Like their whole swim team was pretty much cut.
But before this was approved, there was a grandfathered in for all those athletes that were being cut. So now, technically, let's say Grant Derbyshire, that was on the team as a walk-on last year, Zach Toe, who was on the team last year, they will now be grandfathered in if they want to be on the team, even though the roster limit is set at 15, because they were on the team last year and still have eligibility. Technically, Coach Pope can grandfather them in and put them back on the team. And for next year, he could actually carry 17 players. So all those players that were cut for the roster limits can actually be grandfathered in. Doesn't mean they will be, but they can be.
I think you can add to the fact.
But here's what I like about it.
Well, and you're going to add more roster spots to teams. Like basketball, you're going to get more roster availability. You can add maybe one or two extra players. Say you're going through the portal, you can add a couple more guys. I think that's going to help a little bit.
15 scholarships now instead of 13.
But the problem you're going to have with that is, we talked about this earlier in April. Who's going to really come and sit on the bench, though? Unless you're a really big-time athlete, you're not going to come and sit on the bench and be that 15th guy. Like, it's just not going to happen.
It's going to be tough in spots, I think.
In spots, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. The greatest thing about this is the pay for play is now supposed to be illegal again. Now, here's the kicker, though. Will the courts back this up? Will they be able to enforce it all? Even though this settlement is a ruling through the courts, will the courts back up this settlement? Because there will be athletes that says, well, I got this $3 million deal and you can't deny it. And they'll try to take them to court. That's where we have been for the last 3 years, and the reason why it has been just a wild, wild west.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out, because the clearinghouse is going to deny a lot of those deals. A lot of those deals.
A lot, yeah.
All right. Here is another thing that was pretty interesting about the new House settlement. So football is king, okay? College football right now is king. SEC is one of the premier college football leagues. That and the Big Ten is pretty much the two premier college football leagues. The SEC was trying to set limits for this roster share, revenue share, okay? They were trying to say 75% would go to football and only 15% would go to basketball. 5% would go to women's basketball, okay? Mm-hmm. The other 5 would be split between all sports, the other 5%. But here's the deal. They wanted to actually set a limit where football was 13 to 16 million of the revenue share, and basketball, men's basketball, could only be up to $3 million. Well, Kentucky loudly protested a basketball limit being put on the Kentucky program. And John, if you've been keeping up with this, Pope went out and spent like $15 or $20 million this year for a roster.
He did.
Did he not?
And I think with that roster, you even told me back when we had all these players come in, and you said you better get to the Final Four with that type of roster. you better at least get to the Elite Eight, because I think there'll be a lot
Absolutely.
of noise if he doesn't.
But here's the deal: these limits. Okay, the rumors is that Texas spent $40 million for a football team this year. This revenue share is cut off at 20.5. It's a cap. It's supposed to be a hard cap.
Well, and I think too, Brad, that's why this whole Vince Marrow thing is going on.
It is. And like I said down there, football, basketball wars will be going on within the athletic departments. Because you got programs that are going to want to spend a shitload of money for football, and then you got programs that are going to want to spend a shitload of money for basketball.
Well, you got to think, Kentucky's a basketball school. But in order to compete in the SEC, and I've said this
but
over and
the
over.
TV money is loaded on the football side.
It is. I agree with you. But if you're going to compete to where you can, beat some teams, do like Kentucky did last year, beat an Ole Miss, win some games, you're going to have some money to spend in the bank to win some of these battles, because if you don't, Kentucky football is going to be left behind in the dust.
And if you're left behind, I'm going to be honest with you, John. If Kentucky football becomes the doormat of the SEC again, I'm not going to pretend that we ain't been there before, but if we become the doormat of the SEC again, I don't think our athletic program, basketball, will not be enough to keep up with the Oklahomas and the Texas and the Alabamas, the Georgias, when it comes to athletic department revenue. We're going to be way behind the 8 ball because basketball can't keep up with it. Texas and Georgia in football last year done over $135 million in revenue.
Well, and I'll
be wait a second. The top two in basketball revenue share was less than $40 million. 135 to 40. Basketball can't keep up with football when it comes to return revenue coming in.
But I'll say this with the whole Marrow thing. The whole program as a whole, the last 2 to 3 years, has been going, you know it, Brad, it's been going in the wrong direction. But, I have my piece about what Vince Marrow did, why he did it, or why he didn't do it. But here's my biggest problem with it, is jumping ship at this time of the year. That just looks really, really bad. Not so much.
Who does it look bad for? Does it look bad for Marrow, or does it look bad for Kentucky? Because I actually think it looks bad.
That's what I'm saying. It looks bad for Kentucky.
I think it looks bad for Marrow, to be honest. I kind of do, man. Personally, I think it kind of looks bad for Marrow, to be honest. And I'm going to go ahead and switch to it because that's my next topic. But Vince Marrow has announced that he is leaving UK after 12 years to be the general manager of the Louisville Cardinals. All right. Did y'all hear what I just said? Louisville Cardinals, general manager. John, I'm going to let you talk. Then I'm going to talk. Then we're going to dig into a couple of other topics. I've got another topic of what it's going to mean to Stoops. But just the Marrow decision itself and leaving Kentucky this time of year and going to the arch rival. What's your thoughts?
I'll be honest. It seems like that Marrow has had his foot out the door the last couple of years. There's been a couple of times where teams have called him and Kentucky kind of bucked up the money and, decided to keep him. And I think now that with this whole NIL ruling, it's perfect timing, right? You have all that go down, and then he jumps ship to go to Louisville. I'm going to be honest with you, Brad. He's done a really, really good job at Kentucky. I think he was a really good coach. I think he done a lot for Kentucky. But I think his recruiting fell off the last, couple years. And I'm going to be honest. I don't think it's so much him as it's just the whole room, the tight end room. It's been bad since C.J. Conrad. The tight end room has not been great. I remember when Kentucky used to run a lot of tight end plays over the middle. They stopped a lot of it. I don't know whether it was just they was trying to go to a new brand of offense when they brought in the new offensive coordinators. But I hope I'm wrong, Brad. And I say this with all that's within me. But this season has the potential to be our worst since Joker was roaming the sidelines. And I know that sounds –
well, I hope not.
Well, I'm just saying there's not a lot of, enthusiasm right now. There's a lot of folks that are giving up their season tickets. I've talked to 2 or 3 people that have gave up their season tickets. I'm not surprised he left, Brad, honestly. I can understand why he wanted to leave. But to go to Louisville, of all places.
I'm going to start with that statement right there because all these people that's saying, I'm not surprised he left, I don't know what planet y'all are on, but here's the deal. It's June 10th. You do not leave a football program on June 10th. If you're not surprised that a coach left a program on June 9th or June 10th, then you got some kind of issue following college football because that's not a time frame where this crap happens. 2 to 3 months ago, I received word that Louisville was looking at and offering Marrow this same position, okay? Like 2 to 3 months ago. I was told at that time that Marrow was staying put. He even went on KSR and told everybody that he was staying put.
Yeah. Told Matt.
Now, he told Matt, he went on KSR and told the world that he was staying put. I was told at that time that Louisville was an option, that he did consider it, but he had decided to stay. I'm sorry. In that case, Marrow screwed up here. I mean, I'm just going to be honest with you. And this is beyond some other stuff that I'm going to get to in just a few minutes. But this is, you don't go back on your word. Okay? If you're not surprised by this, I don't care where he thinks the program is right now. I don't care. You have committed to this season. And for me, that's where I'm at with this. And I think it's a bad look. I think it's a bad look for Vince Marrow. I think it's a worse look for Vince Marrow than it is for Kentucky. I know the vast majority is saying how bad it looks for Kentucky. I actually think this is a worse look for Vince Marrow. The one thing that a recruiter needs when he goes in the homes to talk to parents is his word. And I'm going to tell you right now, Vince Marrow just went back on his own word for the whole world to see.
I'm going to be honest with you, Brad. I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this. I've kind of been on the outs with Stoops for the last couple 2-3 years. And I kind of wanted to bring this up because I think,
well, I mean, that's my next topic is the Stoops thing. Are you done? Are you done with this part?
Yeah. I wanted to bring up
my next topic is, what does this mean for Stoops?
Well, that's what I want to talk about. Here's my thing. You've got to go to a bowl game. You've got to win at least 6 games, and the schedule.
But I don't think that has anything to do with him. He needed to go to the bowl game with or without Morrow.
Well, the schedule's what's daunting, even Toledo.
But Morrow leaving doesn't have anything to do with that, is what I'm saying.
No, I'm just speaking in general about Stoops. I'm not really talking about Marrow. I just think here's my way of thinking about Stoops. I just feel like, Brad, we're never really going to be able to get an actual coach that can make us competitive in the SEC.
It's going to be tough, John, especially in this new age world that we're living in with the money limits and basketball trying to be king. It's going to be tough in the SEC. If Stoops is not here, it's going to be tough to go get another coach to come into the SEC where we're not spending the same amount of money as Arkansas or Missouri or South Carolina or Georgia or Florida or Tennessee or Oklahoma or Texas or Alabama or Auburn you could just go on and on and on.
Here's
Who's
the thing,
going to come here?
I haven't really seen something that's going to make me believe we can compete with monster, like you said, schools of the Ohio States of the world, now that they're paying $50 million for a team. Like Kentucky is kind of on the outs on that. And I wonder too if there was a rift between these two last year, because there was some times
I've heard that there was.
Because I'm gonna bring it up. I know I shouldn't, but I'm going to. The Gavin Wimsatt thing. Vince brought him here. If people don't know,
and should have never happened. Honestly, it should have never happened. I said it last year. Go back to my show. I said it last year.
And when he was benched and got transferred, Vince was not very happy.
Good for him, because it was a terrible move. Terrible. It was a terrible move, and I'll be the first to tell you, it was a horrible move by Marrow to bring him here. After going out and getting Vandegrift, it was just a terrible move.
Well,
if you didn't have Vandegrift,
and people can say what they want about Marrow, but he was a top 10 college football recruiter. And now Stoops is now without pretty much his right-hand man, his right arm. I just see it's hard to see how he survives at this point without some major changes.
Well, let me tell you a little bit on my side of how I think that he could go about doing that. One, he now has a chance to go out and get in the NIL industry. He had, with the stuff that's going on, he has a chance to go out and get an actual top recruiter again. Okay. 1. All right. 2, I've already been told that CJ Conrad might be stepping in to fill the role this season maybe in an interim position, but that he might be willing to step in as the tight end coach. I'm not talking about recruiter and all that. I'm talking about as the tight end coach, C.J. Conrad. C.J. Conrad is the last good tight end offensively that we've had. The one thing that Marrow has done recently, the Gavin Wimsatt thing, I already talked about that, but here's the deal. He's been the tight end coach for 12 years at Kentucky. We've had one tight end in his 12 years that's caught 30 passes in a season. C.J. Conrad. Let's give Conrad a chance this year and see what he can do.
I'm going to be honest with you, Brad, spot. And then I'm going to add this to the whole Stoops head coach thing. My biggest thing with Stoops, I don't think he's a great head coach, and I'm going to tell you a couple of reasons why. I think he's good with things off the field. He can roster build. He was good with player development early in his Kentucky tenure and all the stuff. Lately, it just seems like he's just kind of fed up, you know. My biggest issue with Stoops, and this is going to have to change this year and next year if he even stays, he's one of the worst in-game coaches I've ever watched. They're very undisciplined. They're unprepared. Pressure situations. My biggest thing, he can't identify good offensive
coaches. The last
coaches.
2 years, I agree with that.
He micromanages them when he does. I feel like he can't develop quarterbacks like he does for a passing game, which that should have been a call to Dan Mullen. When Dan Mullen was available,
the last 2 years, I
would have had him as a quarterbacks coach. I just think, Brad, if you're going to have a coach that could be a top 25, 30 roster.
But
you're breaking up.
Before that, no.
I mean, what are we clinging to, Brad? Are we clinging to the fact that
come through first before we try to do another show?
Yeah. What are we clinging to, Brad? Are we clinging that he's probably going to have a decent year? If he don't have a good year, are the fans going to run him out of Lexington because they can't get the type of play? Like, this is a big year.
I'm going to be honest with you, John. At this point, wait a second. At this point, as far as Stoops, I would not be surprised if he can't get the kind of money that he needs to compete for football within the SEC. I would not be surprised to see him go somewhere else at the end of this year. He'll take a job somewhere else to compete in football. And if that happens, I'm not sure where Kentucky goes from there, to be honest. I'm really not sure where Kentucky goes from there. I'm not sure if your head coach is leaving because they can't get the money, who's coming here? People say John Summerall. Why would John Summerall leave Tulane where he's probably getting the lion's share of this money to run a program that might be joining the Pac-12? Why would he leave that to come to Kentucky to be top and not get the money? Why? Why would he do that? I don't think he should, to be honest. That's my opinion.
Well, you got to remember last year when everything was kind of going sideways, I feel like Mitch Barnhart missed his opportunity when everything was going amiss among the program. I think if this don't get no better, this could be a death spiral that could go down into mediocrity, Brad. And I've seen Kentucky
I think
football.
we're already seeing that we're headed there.
Listen, I've watched Kentucky football since I was a kid. And you've probably seen some better teams back in the early 80s and 70s. But I remember when they never even won a game back in the early 90s, where fans didn't want to go to the games. You was lucky to get a ticket. You was lucky to even find a ticket because everybody was throwing them away. If it reaches that point, does Kentucky football ever get back to where it needs to be? Can we have another?
I'm telling you, it looks pretty bleak. With the basketball program demanding as much money as they are and having a cap, I'm going to be honest with you, John. It looks pretty bleak for Kentucky football right now.
I'm going to say this.
I think that's part of the reason why Marrow left. I think that's part of the reason why Marrow made this decision and went back on his word, like I just talked about, is because the money is drying up and the money is not there.
Well, if this is the case, then, hey, enjoy going back to watching Bill Curry type football is all I can tell you, because it's coming.
I'm telling you, I think that's where it looks bleak, if you ask me. Now, one last question when it comes to this. Do you feel betrayed by Vince Marrow?
Not really. I mean, look at the whole Arkansas to Cal thing.
And I feel betrayed by it.
Well, I mean, you look I know. I mean,
be honest with you.
Like Cal talked to Arkansas. Cal tried to get back to Kentucky, and you know what Mitch said? Mitch wasn't having it. He said, you know what? See you later. And I think this is where we're at with you know, Stoops and Marrow, where you know, hey, and there's a lot of talk going on right now. I don't know if this is true or not. I've seen some people mention this, but there's a lot of loyalty to Eddie Gran in the program, because Stoops and Eddie Gran are pretty close. They've been friends for a long time. I'm not saying that had a lot to do with Vince Marrow leaving, but possibly there was some things that apparently Vince was wanting and Stoops didn't want to do. And Vince said, you know what, I'm out, and left. But I don't know if that's true or not. I know, you know, a lot of people.
I'm going to break this down for you as a diehard true Kentucky fan, okay? Vince Marrow has spent over 12 years wearing the blue and white. 12 years recruiting for the blue and white. 12 years competing against the Louisville Cardinals. And I don't know about you, but I specifically remember Vince Marrow in photos all the time with the L's down. I mean, here's my deal. Vince Marrow has spent a fifth, 20% of his entire life coaching the Kentucky Wildcats, recruiting and coaching the Kentucky Wildcats. If you don't learn a little bit of respect and Kentucky tradition from that, and who their rivals are from that, when you spent 20% of your entire life, I don't know what to tell you, man. You ain't got a soul and you ain't got a heart. You ain't got a brain. If you spend 12 years here and don't learn that, I mean, that's where I'm at. Same thing with Calipari, same thing with Patino. Y'all have no idea. I don't even talk about it very much, but I despised Rick Pitino, and I loved that man. Vince Morrow, I'm sorry, but this is betrayal. Plain and simple. You're muted. I can't hear you.
People got to remember, Kentucky, their fans, they have the fan base and the revenue to compete at a decent level that could most likely keep the fan. Like, look at Rich Brooks' era. He didn't have a lot of great players, but they came in and they just won. He put some in the pros.
They didn't spend a whole lot of money back then either.
No, but he developed them. He brought them in, and eventually they ended up – there was a lot of those pros that ended up in the pros because of him. And you got to remember the Benny Snell era. You got to sustain success through all of this, and I think it's just got lackluster the last 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, but do you agree with me that if you spend 20% of your life as a Kentucky Wildcat, that you ought to know better?
Yeah, I do. But, Brad, let's be honest.
Come on.
But let's be honest, Brad. He's going to a better situation. Here's the fact of the matter. In this era of NIL and now with the settlement, Kentucky ranks at the bottom, okay, in the SEC in terms of financial for athletics. We're screwed in football, honestly. We need some kind of fundraising type thing. I think we have to be honest, Brad. Would you rather pump a lot of money into football to maybe get, say, a 10-win season every once in a while? Or would you rather compete for a national championship in basketball and actually have a chance 2 to 3 years every year? That's where we're at. And I think you're going to see a lot of prioritizing basketball over football. And if that's the case, Kentucky football might as well be dead, because football pays the bills, but Kentucky basketball pays the product.
It won't if they go down that path. Football will not pay the bills if they go down that path. The whole athletic department is going to be behind the 8 ball. I'm telling you. If they go down that path. I'm just saying, tell you this much, Vince Morrow,
from where I stand,
myself, from me, I'm telling you straightforward, I hope you fail. I hope you fail. I hope you're miserable. I'm just going to be straight honest with you, man. If you didn't learn after 12 years, you got to be a straight dumbass. And that's just all I'm going to say, to be honest. That's the way I feel about it. I don't care if you played some kind of crap pro league with Jeff Brom or not. I could care less. You didn't spend 20% of your life committed to a program.
Like I said, Brett, I just think all right. Kentucky football is going down a path that we don't want to like. And that's just.
I didn't say you can't leave. You just don't go to the hated rival, man. You can't do that. I'm sorry. You can't go to Louisville. You can't go to Tennessee.
That's my biggest thing is in the middle of the season. Well, not middle of the season, middle of the summer. you take off and leave to go
right
to your
before the
rivalry.
season starts.
Right before the season starts. So,
we're a month away from SEC Media Days.
yeah, and I'm not a real big fan of it, Brad.
All right, college football or college basketball, women's and men's today approved coaches challenges. John, did you catch this?
I did. Yep. I seen
In
where
the men's game, you got to have a timeout. If you win it, you get a second one. The women's game, you just get one. You do not have to have a timeout in the women's game. The women use their timeouts to advance the ball, just like the NBA does. So they're not doing that in the women's game. But both of them have approved coaches challenges. Now, what I don't know is what all is going to be included that you can challenge just yet. They haven't really come out and said what plays. Is it going to be a foul? Can you challenge a foul? Or does it have to be like an out-of-bounds play? Or does it have to be a goaltend?
There was one where the officials will not be permitted to use video review for out-of-bounds calls unless a coach challenge is used. And there was according to a press release, this is what baffles me, is the NCAA Men's Basketball Rules Committee does not believe the standard end-of-game reviews cause substantial interruptions to the flow of play. Are they stupid?
Oh, me, that's almost. I mean, good grief. Whoever said that needs to go back to first grade.
Yeah, like, I don't know, man. Oh,
I'm serious. Whoever said that needs to go back to first grade.
Now, here's another one. The continuous motion.
All right. So what we will see is coaches' challenges, kind of like there is in the NBA. If you've been watching the NBA playoffs and stuff, there's coaches' challenges in the NBA. If you win, you get one. If you win it, you get a second one. I think that's it. You can only have up to 2 a game. If you lose, you do have to burn a timeout in the men's game. In the women's game, you do not. That's the reason why you don't have to have a timeout. You don't have to burn that timeout to challenge it, because they use those timeouts a little differently in the women's game than they do the men's. But I am allowed on foul calls. You're muted.
The continuous play is what I'm excited about. That an offensive player who ends his dribble going towards the basket absorbs contact.
I don't like the continuation play. The NBA does it, and they're terrible with it. Terrible. They can't they can't officiate it.
Officials will now have the option to call a flagrant 1 foul when a player is contacted in the groin. A flagrant 1 call awards 2 shots in possession of the ball. Previously, officials were only allowed to call a common foul or flagrant 2 on groin contact plays. Flagrant 2
I don't
foul.
like the continuation call. They don't even call it right in the NBA. I mean, there was a play the other day. Shea Gilders clearly took a hit and made the shot. They wiped it out, didn't include it. And then a guy can be at the damn 3-point line, get a foul, take 4 steps to the damn lane, and they'll call continuation. It's the dumbest. They don't get it right. I hate it. It's terrible. And it'll probably be terrible in college basketball as well.
Yeah.
All right, John. I have a question about the women's game. Kentucky, Coach Brooks only has 12 players on his roster.
Mm-hmm.
He knocked off some players, including Cassidy Rowe, early on in March when they were knocked out of the tournament, or midway through March when they were knocked out of the tournament. And he only has 12 players on the roster. My question is, did Coach Brooks do enough roster build for the 2025-2026 season? And I'm going to expand this by saying this. Last year, he had 13 players on the team. There was 13 available scholarships. This year, there's 15, okay?
Yeah.
He had 13 available scholarships last year. But in late July and early August, 2 of those players got injured and did not get to play the entire season last year. My question is this: has he done enough with the roster in case of injury? Because he ought to have learned a lesson just last year. If 2 players go down before the season starts this year, where's that going to leave this team?
It's going to be tough. I mean, I felt like he needed one more superstar. We talked about that in early April. I felt like I wouldn't say a superstar. I'm just saying somebody that take the girl from South Carolina, the one that went to LSU.
Flage? Not Flage.
Not Flage.
LSU. Malaysia.
Malaysia Fawali. Somebody of that, somebody that can just really get you a rebound, get you some points late in the game. I'll be honest with you, bro. I don't think they have that. Now, the girl from the Morgan girl from Georgia Tech, I think is going to be really, really good. But is she really going to be able to do what Georgia Amore last year?
Well, I mean, they have a good 6 or 8, okay? But they thought they were going to have a great 8 last year, and Jordan Obi and Dominika Perova both got hurt before the season started. And that absolutely decimated their bench last year. If you go back and look at the Kentucky women's bench, they got almost nothing from their bench the entire year. 4, 5, 6 points a game on average. They got next to nothing from their bench last year. They played Sanaya and Cassidy Rowe and a little bit of Lexi Blue and Clara Silva. But they only played like 6, 8 minutes a game on average. I think Clara Silva had like 11 plus minutes a game, and that was it. My point is this: if they take some preseason injuries, he's only got 12 on this roster. One of those is a foreigner who has not even been here again, just like Clara Silva did last year. She's going to come in late. She's a big girl. She's going to be a freshman. She's not even anywhere near as accolated as Clara Silva was, this new girl that's coming in, as far as her play. She's probably not going to play a whole lot this year. So that leaves 11. Then you got his daughter, Gabby, who barely played last year.
Yeah,
that's only 10.
Very limited.
I mean, so if you start losing a couple of players, is there enough on this team? Are we going to be in the same boat that we were last season?
I think he's just going to have to add what's left. He's going to have to add somebody, but who knows what they're going to do? I mean, I think he should have went the route the men did, because the men kind of have a nucleus, but I look at the men like I do with Georgia Amore. Otega Owe was sort of Georgia Amore, right? You get that back, you get a superstar back. And Kentucky don't have that, the women's
No,
side.
the girls didn't have that option. No, Amore was gone. She was already a fifth year.
And
And she couldn't. Deja was a fifth year. She couldn't. So they do have a good nucleus, okay? And they brought in 2-3 players that I think will be good pieces. My issue is if one of those 3 or 2 of those 3 winds up getting hurt, just like happened last year, I just don't think Kenny Brooks has done enough roster build with this team, including the Cassidy Rowe thing. Because right now, setting June 10th, you look at what he did with Cassidy Rowe, and you think, why couldn't she be on this team? She would have been a senior. She has some experience. She could play defense. She could come off the bench and play your point guard. Was she going to fill it up and score 10 points a game? No, she wasn't. And she's not probably ever going to do that. Okay? But could she get you some charges, play defense, and control the game and the team? Absolutely.
The little
things, hustle plays, play defense, draw some charges, maybe hit a 3 every now and then.
I did want to, when we get done here, I wanted to bring up something on the men's side since we've had a break. There's been some news break, and I kind of wanted to bring that up.
Well, on the men's side, one of the Walker Horn is coming back. He's going to be the 15th.
I'm talking scheduling wise. When we get done with, is this our last topic or no?
No, I've got a couple more real quick.
Okay, I'll do it at the end.
All right. So, John, the NBA draft is 2 weeks away. And I think it's June 25th, if I'm not mistaken. It's on a Thursday night. I may have the date wrong by looking at that because tonight's Tuesday and today's the 10th.
Well, we all know Cooper Flagg's going number 1. So,
all right. My question to you is this, John. If you have looked at the top 10 or 15 picks, nearly every one of them are freshmen.
Yep. Dylan Harper, Ace Bailey.
But I have a question. The college game has kind of gone away from that. Why is the pros still basically only looking at the freshmen? And it just seems like the good players, the seniors, the Oways, the Yatzels, the good players from college basketball are just being left behind.
Well, and to be fair, some of them came back to school.
Yatzell came back to school.
Tega Oway come back. I think
a lot of them come back to school, John. That's my whole point. That's what I'm saying. Why is the NBA still drafting these 19-year-olds that can't really even accomplish greatness in college? I mean, the 2 kids from Rutgers were on the same team, and they weren't very good. They didn't even make the NCAA tournament. What does that show you? How can you look at their game and be like, whoa, they're really going to help our team? What do you mean they're going to help your team? They just showed that they can't carry a team.
Well, I mean, you got to think they're expected to do a lot. You know, they're expected to act like real men out of the gate.
Now, Cooper Flagg's a different story. I'm not talking about Cooper Flagg here, guys. Cooper Flagg, he proved himself. Okay.
Well, I think it's interesting, Brad, because they're also expected to give a lot of these NBA teams a sense of, you know, who they are as a person. I mean, you know, at 18, you're probably thinking, you ask these kids, what do they like to do? Do they like to listen to music?
Play
They like to hang out
Fortnite.
with friends. I mean, even if I had to sneak out of my house sometimes to do it, I mean, I
They
do
want
it.
to play Fortnite.
I think part of the reason it's so hard to have a big NBA career is because making through it in the early years, there's so much pressure and commitment and expectations. I think takes a huge toll.
John, I guess my question to you is this. If you were a current owner of I'm going to say the San Antonio Spurs, okay?
Yeah.
You have the second pick in the draft, all right? You're probably not going to land Cooper Flagg, okay? But you have the second pick of the draft. In your basketball opinion, would you rather have Dylan Harper or would you rather have Otega Owe?
It just depends on their skill set. Like,
Listen, you can spin it all you want. You've watched basketball. You've watched them both play. Would you rather have Dylan Harper or would you rather have Otega Owe?
I'd rather have Otega, but as for potential, I would like to have Dylan Harper. But does that potential really come out in the 2 or 3 years? Like, does it really? Because you got to think, Brad. A lot of these fans are putting their hopes and dreams for these kids. Like, there are people that are given multi-million contracts, and they're the same people that will give them death threats on social media through angry fans, opposing teams. Like, it's a double-edged sword, if you want to say. Like, you really want these guys, but then if they don't do good for your team, you're ready to throw them out the back door. That's basically what.
Well, I mean, you look at the draft last year, and the top 5 guys. If you look at the draft last year, the top 5 guys, I'm gonna be honest with you, John. They really didn't do much. They didn't impress me.
Look at SGA, and for those that don't know who that is, it's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Goes from a really good player to maybe one of the best, to maybe the best in the NBA. Like, but
it can happen. But Shai's already been there 7 years as well. So
yeah, he's had time to develop and make some headway.
But let's be honest, Shai is above and beyond what usually happens.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not to be a top 3 player, an MVP in the league. That's you're not going to catch that in a bottle every damn day. I mean, that's just not going to happen.
And speaking of Shai, I'm excited about this NBA Finals. Have you been watching it?
I am too. I've been watching. I love the NBA playoffs.
I really haven't been paying attention, but I have been watching the NBA Finals. So,
I've been watching the whole playoffs. I love the NBA playoffs. I do not watch the regular season. I used to watch some, but I used to watch Kobe some, even in the regular season. But I'll be honest with you, I do not watch the regular season much anymore, but I love the NBA playoffs. Always have. I've been a Magic Johnson fan since 1980. I have always cared about the NBA playoffs. And Shai Gilgeous being in there and doing what he is doing is exciting for me. I really love the kid. Not only is he a great player, not only has he far exceeded, not only is he from Kentucky, but man, what a great human being.
Yeah, he's a great person.
Just a great human being, a great teammate. I don't know if he's going to win. It's 1-1. They're going back to Indy. We'll see what's going to happen. But
they actually should be up 2-0 because the first game
they should be. But you're right.
Yeah. So.
They should be. But I am greatly watching the NBA playoffs, and hopefully can't wait really for the NBA draft as well. I also like watching the draft. I just don't really understand what is going on because the entire game has shifted away from these 18 and 19-year-olds.
It has.
But the NBA still seems to be drafting these 18 and 19-year-olds.
Well, and pros do it too. I mean, NFL does the same.
And it doesn't go with the way the game has shifted, if you get what I'm saying.
And I got to add, while we're on this topic, big news. College Football 26 is coming out pretty soon in July. I'm pretty excited about it.
All right.
They've added some really new things to the mix, Brad. They got dynamic lighting in the game. So a game in Oregon will be different than a game in Auburn, Alabama. Like, I think that's pretty neat. Is having the sunset and then it go down on the Rose Bowl. I think that would make for a fun game and playing with dynamic lighting. So pretty big stuff they've added new into the baseball or into the football game.
Well, we're going to kind of wrap up our topics with the College World Series. The College World Series is set to take place this weekend in Omaha. It is a huge, huge thing for college baseball. If you've ever been to Omaha, you know what I'm talking about. You know how great it is to actually be there. It is a huge, huge deal. It will draw millions of fans this weekend, not only there, but on TV. And I got to give a huge shout out to the Murray State Racers.
Yep.
The first time they have ever made the College World Series in Omaha. So
and they beat Duke, which makes it even better.
And they beat Duke at Duke. So the Omaha 8, Coastal Carolina beat Auburn at Auburn in 2. So that was a big upset. Arkansas beat Tennessee, who Tennessee is the defending champs. Knocked out Tennessee. LSU beat West Virginia. They're in. Arizona beat North Carolina. They're in. Oregon State beat Florida State. Knocked them out. And Oregon State is back in the College World Series. UCLA beat UTSA.
Did you know?
Who was a shocker to be in there.
Did you know that Duke has still not been to the College World Series since 1961?
I didn't know.
They still have a
so
drought.
You've got who else am I missing? Arizona, UCLA, Oregon State, Coastal Carolina, Arkansas, LSU, Murray State, and I'm
Coastal
missing
Carolina.
one, John.
Coastal Carolina.
Here, let me look real quick. I'm missing one, and I know who it is, but
UCLA.
It's Louisville.
Yeah.
It's Louisville. Ha.
It's Louisville.
That's funny that I forgot them.
Yeah.
Just forgot all about Louisville. Yeah, just forgot all about it.
Should be exciting this weekend.
Josh.
I kind of wanted to say something.
Will Elmore's here. He's probably laughing at me because I forgot completely about Louisville.
I wanted to bring this up before we go, Brad, because a lot of people don't know. A lot of people do know. Kentucky is.
Before we get off the College World Series, I'm going to pick a winner. I think I'm going to take the Arkansas Razorbacks as my potential winner.
I'm taking Arkansas. I think Arkansas has the best team of any of them.
I think I'm going to take Arkansas to win.
I will say that my
College World Series.
My sleeper's going to be Coastal Carolina. Joshua's going. Said looking forward to the 600-mile drive.
It's a special place, man, to go to Omaha. I was just talking about it. So,
Yeah.
And Louisville going back, they got a good coach and been there. I'm sorry. Honestly, as a Kentucky fan, I should have remembered that Louisville got there, but
I wanted to bring this up real quick before we go. I don't know if a lot of people knew this, but Kentucky has added 2 exhibition games in basketball since we've been gone. They added Purdue and they added Georgetown, which should be very interesting, to say the least. This is the new way of kind of scrimmaging everybody early in the year.
I don't know how to feel about these exhibition games. I know everybody's super excited about it, but it's so weird to me. I don't know. Do you not play some of your better players and let some of your others come in, even though you're playing a top team? It's just kind of weird. I don't know how you handle that in a way. I don't know. Call me crazy.
I just kind of wanted to bring that up. And not sure if we'll do a show next week or not, but let some major news hit.
All right, guys, some media opportunities. If you or anyone you know lives near Gainesville, Florida, and would like to cover the women Gator basketball team, contact us. I should be able to get you in for games. You do not have to go to them all. You do not have to go to all the home games. You can kind of pick and choose. If you're going to do this, I would like for you to go to at least 5 to 8 of them. There's usually about 16 or so home opportunities on the women's side. I would like to see you go to at least 5 or 8 of them if you are interested in this. But if you or anyone you know is in or around Gainesville, Florida, I do have an opportunity for you to cover the Florida Women's Gators basketball team. Also, Kentucky volleyball, thank you. We are proud to say that we are going to be covering you guys again this year, Kentucky volleyball, here at College SportsCast. And I got to give a shout out to Eric Bird. He's going to be on with us, kind of joining us as a photographer to give us some professional photos. And I appreciate Eric Bird at Bird's Eye View. Give him a shout out. Media opportunities as a photographer. So just a few things to talk about here. It's a great opportunity. You don't meet people like Brad and John very often in the business. Thank you. It says Joshua Elmore. We kind of know him as Will. But, so if I call him Will, everybody's going to think I'm absolutely crazy on the show. But anyways, we kind of talk to him and know him. He is a Stadium Rant guy with us. It's the top right-hand corner there.
Speaking of Stadium Rant, I got to get back to riding, man. It's been a slow.
I've been kind of taking a break. I told you my kids graduated high school, and just had a lot going on this summer so far. So just kind of taking a break. I'm not sure that we will do a show next week. I would kind of like to do a show in and around, maybe just after. I'm not sure. The NBA Finals wraps up and the NBA Draft. I would like to do at least one more show this month, and then after that, we'll take a few weeks off again before football media days, and then we'll kick off the season 4. So we're just kind of slowing down. It's summertime.
Once football gets kicked in, we're pretty much here all the time. So.
Yeah, we'll be here we'll start up like 2 or 3 times a week then.
Because we'll have conference previews to do. We do those every year.
Well, and then we have the game that when games start, we have game day pick'ems and we have the Big Fuss show, and so we'll kind of get back going then. Our Bet Us link is right there. join us at bit.ly, the Real Fresh Bet US. You can get some great benefits there, including 3 times 125% on your deposits. So join us there, and we're going to wrap this up. I appreciate you guys being with us tonight, and we will see you around the NBA draft. We will try to do a show, maybe one more show this month, and kind of wrap up season 3.
Yeah.
So that'll kind of be our wrap-up show for season 3, and we will kind of finish things up for you guys with the NBA draft and any other news that comes out. Hell, who knows? Maybe Coach Stoops leaves by then. Hell, I don't know.
Oh, me.
I mean, you never know with this crazy-ass world that we live in anymore.
At this point, yeah.
I mean, who knows? Maybe Coach Stoops joins Tennessee staff or something. I don't know.
Oh, me.
Right before the damn season. I don't know. But you never know with what's going on in today's world.
Oh, you're talking about some upset Vol fans to happen. I don't even want to think about it.
I do. It's kind of funny.
It is. Oh, me.
All right, man. We will see you guys later. This is the Big Fuss Show. Appreciate you guys, and go have some fun. Enjoy your summer. And like I said, we will have a wrap-up show, one more before the end of the month. Y'all have a good night.
Can I please have your attention?
What's all the commotion around here?
What are you talking about?
Let them yap at you.
It's actually very exciting.